two abductors on 25th May 2025 following the alleged abduction. He admitted that on 26th May 2025, while using Kerato's vehicle, that is the Honda CR-V, he picked up the MP from the hotel and took him to the scene where they claimed he had been dumped.
For a honorable member of Parliament to go to that extent of state managing his own abduction, creating a lot of tension and fear in the country. Fortunately, we were able to expedite the investigations and to expose him to the public that the Member of Parliament was indeed not abducted. We were able to account for all his movements from the time he attended the church up to where he slept that night. We have even identified the hotel and the room number that he slept. But in order not to prejudice our investigations, we may not be able to share that information at this point in time. But definitely, we are going to share that information with him. And again, it is unfortunate that being a victim, the investigating team were denied access to go and interview the Honorable Member of Parliament, which we very believe that he did not suffer any injuries whatsoever.
You know, me, I kind of sense there was something fishy about that abduction. Even the way the guy alikuwa melala kwa mchanga, you just tell, hapa, hi, kuna something fishy, kuna kasamaki mahali kameharibika. Now, a section of members of parliament have condemned the Juja member of parliament, George Koimburi, for allegedly faking his own abduction hours after a report by the DCI and the National Police Service detailed the Sunday events. Koimburi was the center of discussion on yesterday afternoon in the National Assembly with Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, broad-based government MPs, all slamming Gachagwa's ally.
You will remember, all of you, that the Honorable Koimburi appeared before this house, apologized, and in our magnanimity, we accepted his apology and let that go. Honorable Speaker, as a house, we must not let this pass. We must not let it pass. When we forgave Honorable Koimburi and let it go, the impeachment of this drama director, I don't know whether he's a script writer or the drama director, Malala might be the script writer, the director is a former deputy president.
From the way my colleague was sleeping, I could knew this is a fake thing. From the appearance, from the way I saw the shot, and the way the stomach was looking up, I just knew this one, there's nothing. But I was waiting for a proper investigative report to be tabled before the House. So I have to reserve my comments. Mr. Speaker, it's very, very unfortunate that politicians can go to this extent.
The one is that while we call on the police to do investigation, then they are blocked from accessing our colleague, who is the only primary person who can give the most useful information. That is disabling the police. And then we might blame them. The second one, which I find unique, is something is developing where when one is admitted, then people come and give updates on their medical condition, people who are not medical practitioners, within the vicinity of the hospital. That usually does not happen in most hospitals.
I would be the last person to actually politicize about attack because I've been a direct victim. But Mr. Speaker, it is on that note that it would be very, very unfortunate that an honorable member would make me waste time sympathizing and standing with him if at all he has actually faked his own abduction. It would be very unfortunate after our own member of parliament has been shot dead that you bring theatrics that touch on our security.
It's a, you know, the unfortunate thing is that this is not the first time this has happened. You know, members of parliament abducting themselves, even MCAs, and people would disappear and then they appear somewhere along Kiambu Road, somewhere along the Naivasha-Naikuru Road. And you could clearly tell this was faked. And even civil society guys have started doing funny things. But I mean, you're as clear as glass. Remember, yesterday was a National Day of Prayer, and so President William Ruto took that opportunity to apologize to Tanzania following recent tensions between the two countries. Speaking during the National Prayer Breakfast in Nairobi, Ruto offered the apology on behalf of Kenyans, responding to a call by American preacher Ricky Allen Bolden, who asked politicians to seek reconciliation. He also extended an apology to Uganda and the Kenyan youth. Former Chief Justice William Tunga and the People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua were among several Kenyans who were denied entry into Tanzania and were deported shortly after landing at the Julius Nyerere International Airport. Activist Boniface Mwangi was detained for several more days.
Our neighbors from Tanzania, if we have wronged you in any way, forgive us. Our friends from Uganda, if there is anything that Kenyans have done that's not right, we want to apologize if there is anything. To our children, if there is any misstep, we apologize. To our neighbors, if there is any misstep that we have done, you know, we want to build the relationship that will make our country great and will take us forward.
Well, the president and his deputy, Kithure Kindiki, led the country to oversee the National Prayer Breakfast in Nairobi. The high-profile annual event organized by Parliament has become a platform for reflection, unity, and prayer, drawing all leaders together. Notably, a delegation from Tanzania was also invited to sing at the event, despite the ongoing diplomatic tension between the two countries. This year's prayer breakfast takes place as the nation grapples with economic challenges, political tension, and rising youth rebellion. During the prayer breakfast, leaders made a heartfelt plea for forgiveness and sought to divide guidance on addressing the growing misuse of social media in the country.
What Gen Z is dying, and I'm talking because I have Gen Zs, they're dying to be loved. They're dying for a seat at the table. They're dying to be respected. Relationships, and we're talking about really rebuilding relationships. Wouldn't it be beautiful if leaders would stand up and say to our Gen Zs, we had you arrested, and we know that had to be traumatizing, and we're sorry. We shut down the internet, and we know that that's your primary source of communication, and we're sorry.
The ethnicity in our country, that we look at things, we look at our politics in a manner of tribes. Father, forgive us. The blood guilt that we have carried because of politics, because of elections. Father, forgive us.
Leaders between our countries, we must use a moment like this to arrest those situations, because it doesn't look tidy when brothers and neighbors are talking at each other. We must build good relationships and sustain them. Your Excellency, In the same manner, we need to build relationships across generations. The older people who are the age of our fathers, the parents of today, the younger adults who are starting their families, the young children, and even the unborn.
Well, the president was really busy yesterday as he inaugurated also the 2025 African Chiefs of Defense Conference and urged a unified continental approach to security. Military leaders from 37 African nations gathered in Nairobi for the landmark summit to redefine the continent's security landscape. Ruto underscored the urgency of collaborative action to confront terrorism, cybercrime, and environmental threats. However, he warned that political instability and security challenges still impede Africa's progress. Discussions at the summit focused on harmonizing intelligence sharing, standardizing military operations, and mobilizing resources to counter evolving threats.
We must also confront the persistent challenges that impede our progress, including political instability, inadequate infrastructure, and widespread insecurity. Across the continent, we face increasing asymmetry and transnational threats, from terrorism and armed conflict to cybercrime and environmental degradation. These challenges test the resilience of our institutions and demand that we reimagine our peace and security architecture. This conference, therefore, is not only a forum for military cooperation, but also a strategic platform for dialogue, policy coordination, and the strengthening of Africa's collective voice in global security affairs.
These dynamics demand that we recalibrate our defense postures, not just for defense and response, but also for foresight, resilience, and constructive engagement. Within this global context, Africa must carve out its own path, one that places continental priorities at the center of security cooperation.
We together have conducted many training exercises like Flintlock, Cutlass Express, and African Lion. I personally had the opportunity to see troops from several of your countries train earlier this year at Exercise Justified Accord near Mount Kenya.
You know, yesterday I watched a video that really distressed me. A very distressing incident at a hospital called Igegania in Gatundu North. After a child died under unclear circumstances, with witnesses reporting that medical negligence may have contributed to the tragedy. Now, the video circulating on social media shows a visibly distraught man, believed to be the father, carrying the lifeless body of his child through the hospital corridors, accusing them of failing to act in time to save the child. According to sources familiar with the situation, the child had been at the facility for several hours before succumbing to what many conclude to be negligence from the medical officers.
Kupata madaktari wamegoma wakampea tu first aid. Naweza sema tu ni first aid. Juu hawakumfanya venye alikuwa anastahili kufanywa, hawakumpea wadi. Alikuwa huyo mtoto alikuwa anafaa kuadimiwa, hakuadimiwa. Wakasema huyo mtoto labda apelekwe Maragwa. Maragwa yenyewe ambulance hairuhusiwi kufika kutoka Baudales za Kiambu ingie kaunti nyingine. Kutafuta hospitali zote zikasema zimejaa. juu ya income ya mgomo. Sasa hospitali zote zimejaa. Sasa mtoto tukaambiwa itabidi mkubwa wa hospitali gani atafutwe ndio ongee na mkubwa wa hospitali ya Maragwa ndio apeane ruhusa ya ambulance itoke huku ipeleke mtoto Maragwa, na ni kutoka 6 asubuhi hadi saa 7. Saa 7 ndio huyu akaanza kufikiwa, hakupatikana. Ndio tukaanza kushirikiana na kama our MP na MCA, but unfortunately tukienda kushirikiana na wao mtoto ndio hapo akakufa. Gavana wa Matangi, nitakwambia hata kama hizi mgomo zinafanyika, unaangalia hao watu wenye wako kiango ya chini, unawaangalia kwa hekima juu walikuchagua na sisi hatuna mwingine.
Nimepata familia ikiwa na ile sida, so ningeomba viongozi wetu waweze kufikiria wajiko ili tukaweze kuona kana kwamba kuna mioyo tunaweza juu wakati wa madaktari wamegoma tunahatarisha mioyo ya watu wengi. So wale ambao tuliwatuma kwa kazi, tafadhali watufanyie kazi. Kama ni sida imepatikana kwa madaktari, wao wanaasiliana na wawe kitu kimoja ndio tuokoe maisha ya watu.
Tunaripiwa mashini, tunaripiwa pale pusimona pale nini sile manini sote tunaripiwa. TV imeharibiwa. Hakuna TV, hata wale wagonjwa wenye wanakuja kuangalia TV yote imeharibiwa. Ni kama ni makasiriko ya wagonjwa, lakini sijajua nini kenye kilikuwa kinaendelea juu sasa wakati nenda kujaribu kuuliza hii jamaa nini mbaya na ako na mtoto ameshafariki.
That's a very unfortunate incident. Even if you're going on strike, surely a child, you won't take care of a child, you won't do anything to save the child's life. That's how low you can get. You can sit back and watch a child dying, lose his life. That's how low people have gone because of money. It's a very unfortunate incident, it's really unfortunate. The cries of that father and that mother will get to heaven, and that child has just reported to the spirit world before his time, and it's all because somebody was crying for money and values money more than he values the life of the people. Meanwhile, hundreds of youth congregated at Mamangina Waterfront Park in Mombasa to participate in the recruitment exercise which targeted employment placement in the Gulf countries. The exercise, spearheaded by the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, aims to provide Kenyan youth with job opportunities abroad in line with the government's commitment to curb youth unemployment. However, a section of youth raised concerns after they were allegedly asked to part with 150 to 170,000 shillings agency fees to secure placement for the jobs abroad.
Na commission ya 170,000, umeelewa? Na wengine wanakuambia kwamba Alfred Mutua ametusimamia kama sisi mayuthi tukapate kazi. Tunataka kujua hizi agencies zimefuata nini, na kama zimekuja kutusaidia sisi, mbona tutoe pesa? Mbona kuna watu wametoka nyumbani, kuna watu wametoka nyumbani wako tayari guarantee mguu wao uko mbele. Umeelewa? Yaani kuna pesa walitoa, sasa safari hazijajipa, hizi za Alfred Mutua zinkuja zauzwa. Tunataka kujua uwazi uko wapi.
Ambiwa hii kazi ni pesa. Na ambapo Alfred Mutua alisema hii job ni free. Sasa tutajua vipi? Yani tuelewaje? Hao maagent wamekuwa kazi yao ni kutuchezea. Ili hali sisi tunajua wenyewe hatuna pesa. Na si ati maagent hatuwajui. Kuna maagent tunawajua. Mimi ningejua ninakuja kutoa 150. Sio 150 afadhali ninunue bodaboda, ninunue pikipiki nifanye bodaboda. Nitengeze mtaji.
Opportunities kwa country yetu ni shida sana. Unaweza kuwa na degrees, ma PhD, lakini end of the day unakuta haujaajiriwa. Like Like mimi niko na degrees lakini bado tu sijaajiriwa, of which I have to settle at home. Tuanze kungangana na wazazi. Hapo documents ambazo nataka ni nyingi, alafu waache ubaguzi. There is no way unatoka hapa na document unaenda the other side, ukifika nakwambia nini umechelewa, anza upya, ama nakwambia wewe kwanza imeisha, toka kwa line. Unaona vitu kama hivyo.
Sijapata kwa ajili sina passport. Kwa sababu ningekuwa na passport najua ningepata, lakini kwa vile sasa sina passport najua saa hiyo chance imeniacha hivyo.
All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at the newspapers. Oh, this story is so sad. Story is so sad. Denied an ambulance, baby dies 2 hours later. The child's name was James Muiruri. No. The father's name is, the child's name is James Muiruri, and he was 10 months old. I really have no words to say. Just listen to the pain of his father. He says, there is money for our politicians to fly choppers, but there's no medicine in hospitals, and the doctors are on strike. And then he asks a question. Pick the pain that is coming from him. He says, God, when will you end the world? We are tired of suffering. That's pain from a heart that has been so wounded. I mean, you're carrying your baby and you just see life slipping out of him. Yet doctors, around some of them are taking tea as your baby breathes his life. Hey. And then counties are threatening to sack striking doctors. Family blames county government for doing nothing to improve state of healthcare and for failing to avert the doctor strike. And you know, they're saying, I think this is now the grandfather to the child who died. They're saying that he has not slept or eaten. Relatives say of man whose grandson died at Kiambu Hospital. It's the pain. It's the pain. Oh, that is so sad. That is so sad. That should really eat the country. It should get to a point whereby our hearts are pained by what has happened to that family. Because that could be you. I lost my brother many years ago at the Kenyatta National Hospital. He had head injuries. We took him there at 8 a.m. There were no doctors, and the operation was being done at 11 p.m. Almost a whole day gone. And, you know, when they did the operation, they only extracted or dealt with the bleeding on one side of his brain and completely left the other side of the brain untouched, yet it was bleeding. And that's how we lost him. And so the pain, losing somebody through negligence is unbelievable, because this is a life that could have been saved. This child would be alive today if it had not been for negligence and the strike that is going on at Kiambu Hospital. And then this doesn't just stop there. It also brings in our leaders. Why are you spending? Listen to the cry of that dad. He says you have money for choppers, but you don't have money for hospital. Ruto apologizes to Gen Zs, TZ, and Uganda. Attorney General Raila fight case on president's term. Attorney General Dorcas Oduor has asked the Supreme Court to dismiss a petition filed by 3 Kenyans seeking to shorten President William Ruto's term by holding the next presidential election in August 2026 instead of 2027. Watu wamechoka. I won't stop calling out corrupt judges. This is Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. The judges are complaining. Leopards fans demand half the seats at Raila Stadium in Mashemeji Derby. And then Wanyama is back. How now? Kenya line up two international friendly matches against Chad. And then the surprise inclusion of previously retired Victor Wanyama, aka Big Vic, to the national football team Harambee Stars by coach Benny McCarthy has elicited mixed reaction from Kenyan football followers. Then the Standard newspaper, Ruto red carded by who? As economic pain deepens and faith in leadership falters, Kenya is staring at a crisis of confidence, not just in its government, but in its very future. A nationwide survey by TIFA conducted between the 2nd and the 6th of May reveals widespread disillusionment, from the soaring cost of living to entrenched corruption and what many term failed leadership. Kenyans say life has grown markedly worse since 2022. What do you think? Do you agree with the research or the survey that was done by TIFA? Do you agree with it that life has become worse since 2022? If you do, you can go to our Facebook page. Just tell me, ndio, nakubali. If no, say aye. Then 75. Majority Kenyans feel the country is headed in the wrong direction. 75. Walala. With high cost of living being the main reason. Failed leadership, unemployment, human rights abuses, and corruption are the reason Kenyans feel the president has let them down. And then you have a very interesting thing. You have 28% who are calling on former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to rejoin the opposition and actually vie for the seat in 2027. I'm very sure that is something Kenya Kwanza really doesn't want. Supremacy wars force president to skip Migori. President William Ruto returns to Nyanza today for a 4-day tour of the region amid wrangles that have forced a change of plans. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is expected to join the president in the tour that preludes a Sunday Madaraka Day celebration in Homa Bay County. Hey, there's a motorist who's been ordered to pay 778,000 shillings after he lost a case in which they collided with an ambulance. Kimeumana. The fourth page is a continuation of the survey. It says Kenyans worse off since Ruto took over. Then Murang'a has rolled out a 20 billion strategy to boost agribusiness growth. Then there's the prayer day story there. Sorry if we wronged you, Ruto tells Gen Z and calls to reconcile. Then the back page, does Harambee Stars still need Wanyama? Mimi ajui. I don't know whether we need Wanyama, but who knows? Probably he's in a great form, better than his peers or the other players. I don't know. I guess the coach. Let's allow the coach to do what he does best. All of us are spectators, and we've not been attending the training sessions. So unless the Wanyama has been forced onto him, then let the guy be. And by the way, just in case you missed it, Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o died yesterday in the States. He had been ailing for some time. And yesterday he gave up the ghost. This is a guy who's been in this country for, okay, he's not been in this country. He was in this country a long time ago. I remember when I was a kid. I could hear a lot of politics talking about Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and he's done quite a number of books. Was doing a lot of his literature in Kikuyu, tearing into the government and the powers that be, and he was forced to go into exile, and came back, I think, during, is it Kibaki's time? Came back into the country, had a nasty incident in the country, he and his wife. They went back to the States, and now he's gone to the spirit world. Yeah, let me just leave it at that. He's gone to the spirit world where all people will go. It just depends on what you've done with Christ. Your future in that world depends on that. That will be the main question. I gave you Christ. What did you do with him? If you received him as your Savior, then you will go where he is. If you did not, then you will go where he's not. And where he's not, iko sida. Sida kweli. But you can receive Christ. Just saying, Jesus, come into my life. I admit that I'm a sinner and I need a Savior. And you are my Savior. You died for my sins. You took my sins upon yourself and you've given me life. I receive you into my life. You say that and you confess with your mouth. You say, now I'm born again. And you tell other people too. And we can be the first people you tell. There's normally a number that is on our screen, which you can use to basically call us and tell us, hey, by the way, I called that number and I made the decision. And that's how we are going to bring down the curtains on the show, as Alice puts the number there. Call the number and talk to us. Tell us, I made the decision. And as you do that, what happens is we'll call you back and just have a conversation with you to tell you maybe the church you can go to, people you can interact with. We can look for materials that will actually help you, grow in this life. All right? So have yourself a lovely morning. God bless you.